Welcome to episode 55 of the Slabbed podcast, where the grades matter and there are no rules. Obviously, you can see this is not Professor Oak next to me. This is another Josh. This is the night of the Joshes. Appreciate you taking the time, man.
Two is better than one.
Yeah, it's unstoppable. So appreciate you again taking in, subbing in Professor Oak. Busy time right now, so
it'll be like when your favorite teacher is gone and you get the substitute teacher that you really don't like that much. You know him, he's always there, but you don't love him that much. But I'll do my best to fill in for Oak. But there's some very large, like 6'5" Englishmen, smooth accent wearing shoes to fill. And it's going to be hard for a guy like me to fill in for that. So, Oak, we will miss you. I'll do my best, my friend, to carry the torch for you. But thank you for having me, Josh. I appreciate you. I will be the Professor Oak tonight on Slab Podcast.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. I was just thinking about it. I was like, I've had you, Pika Drew, and Java fill in for Oak. I think it was just those three. Because I think Mason filled in for me. It would have been funny if it was like a bunch of dudes with long hair and kept consistency. That would have been hilarious. But Java kind of effed that up. So that's on Java. So, but yeah, if you could introduce yourself, because there are some cross-pollination. There are some video game people, some Yu-Gi-Oh people that are watching some of this. So could introduce yourself. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh. Also, as Josh said, I'm the Old Card Shop across all platforms. I'm the Old Card Shop on eBay, but it's selling bags, actually. If you're looking to support me via eBay, we appreciate that. I also have a Discord that I just started. The cardboard, it's like, here, it's linked down below. It's the Cardboard Convention Selling Discord. I've changed the name several times. I'm going to change it again, as you can tell. But really, the intention behind that Discord is to help people who want to sell in person, advertise their local shows, and then maybe look at other shows in different areas. We've kind of got the Discord separated by like region. And I'm just kind of letting it kind of go. I would like to do a little more with the Discord, but for now it's very bare bones. But join that Discord if you ever want to get in contact with me, and if you just want to, be a part of a cool Discord. So that's the show that I'll be making today. But I also make YouTube content, so check out my other podcast, the Cardboard Hands podcast, with my co-host Retrospects. We do that weekly as well. So it's very nice to be here supporting one of my fellow Pokey tuber podcasts who I love to watch. You guys are really, really great. And so it means a lot to me for you to have me on. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it again. Your podcast, again, all those links are down below in the description. Definitely go check out the podcast. It's one of my favorites. It's completely different, I would say, than this, because you guys are both basically full-time reselling inside of the Pokemon hobby and what other like you guys are balls deep into it, where me and Professor Oak are not in that realm at all. We're more so collector based, and we do some selling on the side. So I definitely like listen to your guys' takes and listen to every episode. I'll have both channels linked below, yours and Retrospects, because I know you guys are flip-flopping every week now.
Yeah, so we just recently started doing that. We were doing once a month on his channel because we were only doing one live a month. But now we started doing 2 lives a month, and both of them. The long and short of it is I hate doing lives. I'm okay being on other people's lives, but I don't like them when they're on my channel for whatever reason. So that's why we do it that way. But
no, 10 out of 10 do recommend you guys go check it out. It's good stuff. If you're looking for more long form content, it's long. It's long, longer than this, and you get your fill of all the stuff you need. So really appreciate it again. So yeah, let's jump into keep it tradition. We got spicy comment winner from last week, and then we'll get into our spicy comments. Last week, we did the live streams. We didn't have too many entrants, but my guy Java Akuma did win. I feel like it's been a while, and he
was a good one too.
Serialized,
it was a good one.
Yeah. It was good. A serialized Taylor Swift rookie sports card is likely coming, and it will be the highest selling modern sports card of all time.
Okay, but I have one thing to ask Java, and I want you to fill in for Java since he can't be here in his behalf. But do you think he meant with like Travis Kelce on the card, or specifically just a Taylor Swift card?
I think it's probably just probably just T Swift. I couldn't imagine him agreeing to do that, but because I don't know if you saw it. They did a Daniel Fishel one for Boy Meets World, Topanga.
Oh, who? Yeah, Oak posted that I think in one of the discords. And
Yep.
what company made that card?
Tops. Pretty sure it was Tops.
Was it in a Tops like baseball set? It wasn't in like Tops Pop Century sort of thing, or
Nope. It was just like a special promo release. You buy it, and then you could either get an auto one, or you could get a numbered one, or yeah, they had number ones,
an
autos,
auto and a numbered.
Yeah, it was a special release on their website. Yep. So I could see them doing something like that, and that's maybe kind of what we're talking about here. So what do you think? Do you think that could happen?
I mean, not only do I think it could happen, I would double down and say I think it's almost guaranteed to happen at this point. And if it's not, they're leaving so much money on the table. Someone needs to backhand one of those executives at Tops or wherever, or maybe T Swift doesn't want to be on a card and it's too hard to, and it's like, look, I'm way too high profile to be on a piece of cardboard. If you make that thing a solid diamond, then maybe we're talking, but but they're not above doing that in sports cards. They will make cards out of anything. I'm pretty sure that they'll make a card out of a meteorite if the whatever they got the materials to.
Do you think it has the potential of being the highest selling modern sports card though, or is that a reach? Like a 1-on-1 T Swift?
Yeah, it would. So yes and no. I do think that. So that's the part of the spicy comment that for me maybe starts to maybe fizzle a little, because I just have a hard time believing that like the sports crowd is going to get in on that bet and on that bidding. You know what I mean? I know the Taylor Swift crowd will, but I'm not sure if that crowd crosses over to like cardboard as much. Maybe they do and I don't realize it. So I think that part of the spicy comment, while I really love the entire comment, that part it starts to fizzle a little. Well, I think it could be possible. I don't think that part's as likely, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know if they're going to do it because I don't think like straight up I don't think T Swift's going to agree to do something like that, but there is Taylor Swift cards already. I saw one slabbed at what Sports Card Investors. He did like a card thing at it. He had a show at his new building. And so that was one of the first trades, was a T Swift slab for something. So they exist. It's just whether or not Tops or Panini or somebody can get her to agree to something. God knows she's going to have like the royalties up the ass to have it. So
what's the risk on her part though to say no? It's like they approach you and like
nothing.
Yeah, so like I don't know, maybe she likes money and she's like, all right, I'm game. Like my boyfriend's got cards, maybe I want cards too,
Yeah, could happen. So now, I agree it could happen, but
a Kelsey Taylor Swift though, that crossover, a tag team crossover, that I think could be the highest selling of all time, because it would tag on those sports collector money and it would bring in the Taylor Swift bidders too. So a crossover.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are more annoyed about it than anything, to be honest. But
okay, maybe that's true. I don't know how the sports community so I'm very much so the only sport I'm connected to is like hockey, and it's been years since I've followed like the newer hockey teams and what's going on, because they've added, since I stopped following hockey, a whole new team or a couple of teams since then. So I'm not really a sports guy, but is that the case that the sports generally don't like that Taylor Swift has invaded their space?
It's turning them off. A lot of people, I feel like.
That feels really weird, because it feels like it would bring so much attention and so much money to the space that even sports guys should be able to see that all that money and attention is good for it, right?
The card collectors, yes. I'm talking about sports fans.
But no, even sports fans, like for their rating, as a TV rating, what do you care if like half of the people watching now the sports games are now just watching to see Taylor Swift? Sure, it might annoy you like when you cross over a couple of times in the game, but like but if that's increasing your like I don't know, maybe I view it differently.
Yeah, I know people care. Like Roger Goodell obviously went and shook her hand. He said, "Appreciate all you did for us during the Super Bowl." So
Hell
he's
yeah.
aware of what she's done and impacted. But the people that aren't making money off it don't really care.
Yeah, and I mean
So,
that's fair. That's kind of like the puppet gal or the the gallery in the back just kind of chirping along in Pokemon whenever something is happening that doesn't pertain to them, some big card, some huge sale, like some trophy card goes for a record amount, and everyone's got opinions on it, but like there's people who cares what they think. They were never even bidding. They weren't in the running for it. So,
Yep, exactly. So Java, that was a good one. I think we beat it up enough. I think it'll be interesting because God knows something will happen unless they break up, and then we'll just get a whole album about the whole situation instead of just a card from her. So
it's bound to happen if they don't get married. I mean, that's the whole thing. You sign up for being one of her like public relationships is you're gonna sign up for a song eventually, either a ring or a song, and nobody's given the ring yet, so they all want songs.
Yikes!
The thing is, a marriage can end, whereas a song is forever. So,
it'll just make him more famous. It's gonna make him more famous. The dude's already popping off.
Sorry, crazy. Taylor. That's a terrible curse. If you're watching this podcast, because I know she watches podcasts. I'm sorry about that, Taylor. I don't mean to doom your relationships. That's not what I mean to do.
Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in, by the way, Taylor. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, definitely. Don't know all your songs, but definitely appreciate you tuning in here.
Spicy comment for next week. I'm gonna let you swing at it first, man. So remember, you got everybody drop your spicy comment down below.
This one?
Your honor. You're the guest of honor.
All right. Well, okay. This one's for the crowd. This is for the general overall Pokemon community, the flippers, the Pokemon resellers. I had to represent for my crowd out there. So this is for you guys. Spicy comment.
Not me.
I mean, it could be for you too, but this is specifically meant for my my flipper reseller brethren, if you will. Let me pull it up so I don't butcher it here. Okay, here we go. So my spicy comment for the week, and I hope this is a good one for you guys. But most people who go full-time Pokemon will eventually fail with that time frame, depending on the size and value of their personal collection.
That was a good one. Everybody, you need to go hit like buttons down below, the ones your favorite. I dead ass thought you were gonna play the Crossfire theme song right there. When you're getting the computer ready, I'm like, oh boy, here it goes.
That would have been great. No, that's under review. The Crossfire is being reworked and retooled now, so it's down for the time being. It's.
I have that game. I love that game. That's some funny stuff.
Good. It's such a good one.
My spicy comment is not Pokemon related at all, and it's actually crapping on Pokemon because Yu-Gi-Oh has a prize coming up in their Upper Deck tournament series, and it's going to be the coolest prize for a champion winner in any TCG in the history. A 14-karat ring, Super Bowl ring style, diamond encrusted, nice looking piece of equipment for the winner. Dope.
That's cool as shit. And I apologize. Excuse my French. I know that Oak would probably say that he would say something other than that. That's not very Professor Oak of me, but that's cool. The diamonds and the gold make it actually valuable. Like the fact that it's a precious metal or something. And I will agree with you. That's a pretty cool trophy. But yeah.
It'll be cool to talk about it at least. Like, go check it out. It just looks freaking dope. Like,
okay, so
people are making fun of it.
More about it though. That's I don't want to beat it because that's
yeah. So those are the spicy comments. Go down below, like your favorite one. Go leave one for the next week. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. So, without further ado, let's jump into the regular scheduled programming and local card shops. We were talking about it a little bit on your Discord that you have, and I just joined it for the first time in the last 48 hours.
Welcome.
Made my first post, and I was searching in there in the Midwest because I'm in the Midwest. Technically, we're in Michigan. Not a lot of Michiganders in there posting. So I had to drop one of the upcoming card shows, and everybody go check it out. So it'll just get better with more people in there spewing all the different card shows. Right now, I use a Facebook group for local stuff, but it'll be good to share some of the love inside of the Discord and stuff. So, what made you want to do that, and like what's going on with local card shows?
Yeah, honestly, the drive to do that all came from a pragmatism for myself, wanting to benefit off of like having somewhere I could have all these shows that I was doing locally posted. I would just take pictures of flyers at my local show, and I would have them in my pictures like logged.
Yeah.
But be scrolling through my pictures and having to like find the shows, and I wouldn't be able to log them correctly. All of them had different formats and everything, and it just wasn't in a very coherent situation for me. And so I wanted to be have a place where I could either go and see all of the local shows where they were in my area, or I could go somewhere and post it myself. And I just realized that space didn't exist. There was a local Facebook group for only specifically the area I was in, but there wasn't one for like the whole US or the whole world. And so I was thinking a little bigger because I like to travel, and I've been doing so many collecticons and traveling for other conventions and things with my business. I was thinking like pragmatically, how could I do something that would help myself and also help other people? And so I started the Discord just that day. I was like, you know what, without thinking much about it, I just need somewhere to post this stuff. And I started posting in one section. And then I was like, you know what, I need to separate this by area, by region. Because then other people, we got like 100 people to join. Everyone seemed to really have the same sort of thought process. They're like, this is a needed space. And so like, even though I didn't do anything to like really, I didn't do much for the Discord, it really has grown a lot more than I would have expected. And people actually use it a lot, just organically. So that's the thought process behind that.
Oh yeah. No, it seems like it's gonna be a pretty cool tool to share with all the different people, and I think it'll pull in more people because like you said, there's over 100 people already. So if one or two people from Michigan see the things I post and get more people going to the local shows, that'd be pretty cool. So what is it? I know you started vending right at Collecticons and then migrated to local shows, or did it go the other way?
Well, I mean, as you remember with Collecticon after COVID, it sort of had a slow burn, slow roll. I feel like it's not the same beast that it is today with 12 different locations. They initially only had like, 4 maybe.
It was 3 the first year.
Yeah, and it was called something totally different. So like, I feel like I first started doing Collecticon just as like a collector thing, and the first one I went to, I didn't sell at. It was actually where I saw you selling in Long Beach. I was my first ever Collecticon, that Long Beach Collecticon where we met the first time.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Dang,
but I didn't have a booth there though. So that second time, the next time I went to the next Collecticon, I started vending. I never looked back after that because I enjoy having the table. I've talked about that a lot. How I like having a home base instead of wandering around and like not having a place and having to sit in the corner and like go against the wall to like look at my binder or something. I'd rather just have a table, you know, and then leave the table or if I wanted to. So it's worth paying the couple $100s for me just to have the table, you know, and then early entry, you get the benefits of being a vendor there, even if I wasn't selling stuff, and I always am. So that's where like I started going and doing vending was in Collecticon, but I really started venturing out this last year when I stopped doing Whatnot and I stopped doing my online like live streaming selling that I was doing. And I started selling online only on eBay and selling everything just listing, sitting at my desk, listing everything. And it took me about 3 months before I went stir crazy because everyone else was out and about working and living their real lives. And then I was still working from home, basically. I need to interact with people. So then I started doing shows monthly. Then it started being weekly, like bi-weekly, and now I do them probably 2 to 3 shows every month. So,
damn, yeah, I've vended a decent amount. So that Long Beach one was like my third or fourth CollectCon I went to. Um, I had been to a decent amount of them and vended one really early on, like the second one that ever existed, which was really cool. So I had never vended a single thing in my entire life until I went and flew to Texas and vended a CollectCon by myself. I had no homies around me. It was just me and like a mystery box guy next to me just printing effing money. And it was like 3 stories tall, the tallest thing in the room. And he was just, I probably made $1,000 in sales of his product because people come to my booth. Um, it was absurd. So I have never vended locally, and there's card shows every weekend within a 30-minute drive.
Wow.
And I don't know why. I guess I have a problem with, like, it's a pain in the ass for me to price every card because that's what I do. Like, I put a sticker on every card, and
Yeah.
to update that, you wouldn't have to update that weekly, right? But 3 months, if you got this thing still in your inventory for 3 months, price is probably different than what it was on the original sticker. So it's just a pain in the balls, in my opinion, which is why I don't succumb myself to doing it frequently. Is what do you see as the benefit at some of these local shows?
Yeah, I'm a slave to these little price stickers because of what you just said. Definitely. I'm constantly repricing. The benefit for me of selling locally is I'm in a really highly populated area, and I get a lot of foot traffic at the shows that I'm at, and I can sell
Yeah,
things at a higher price and a quicker rate to people just walking by because of these like prolific areas that the shows are taking place, like high cost of living. Think of like people just are really rich where they're walking around to these card shows. And so I can sell things that would sell on eBay for like $30 for like $40 or $50 in person, and both avoid the fees and avoid the shipping and essentially all of the dirtiness that comes with the online selling of platforms, which honestly isn't a big deal. I think that the fees are totally justified when you're using the platform. But when I can get away from that, and if I can pay $100 or maybe $200 even for a table at a really nice card show locally that I know is going to advertise, have a lot of foot traffic, have a lot of buyers who are there looking specifically to buy, I would rather spend 1 to 2 days a week doing that. And then, the rest of the week sort of sourcing or maybe listing
yeah,
higher end things and sending it to the vault, or thinking about what I'm going to do with like larger items. It just seems to make more sense for me. So like I find the benefit of selling locally is huge because I can pay a low cost of travel. Like I'm not paying any cost of travel. It's just the table basically. And then
yep,
I can sell a large amount of inventory all at once. And especially I can sell a lot of different things that I wouldn't sell online too. So it's just like sealed stuff. I'm never going to sell an ETB, like one of these 151 ETBs, never online. It's just not worth
never.
it to ship it.
No,
And then when I do sell it online, half the time people are opening them and the pulls are so bad in 151. They're like, "Is it resealed?" And then I get a bad review and I have to have eBay review it and take it down. So selling sealed product to people online today is a nightmare, especially if they're opening that sealed product. And I buy everything from a distributor. So like whenever I get any of those messages, my eyes roll farther, like all the way to the back of my head, and I look over to my invoice for like, several $1,000s and it's breathing down my neck from my distributor. I'm like, boy, don't even come at me with that resealed crap. Like you're buying
yeah,
this for $3 more than what I pay for it, basically. And you're going to come try to tell me I'm resealing it. Like, ooh, that gets me going. But
yeah, yeah. I was thinking like I want to do a local show. Like I need to do one this year because literally it's a 120 table event that's literally 30 minutes away.
that's a good
And
size.
they in their flyers and everything, it's Pokemon right on the front page, but there's a lot of sports too. So is there I was thinking, I was like, man, I just can't have expensive things at all. Because at Collecticon there is a decent amount of high end people walking around collecting, buying this really nice stuff. I feel like at these local shows, is it different? Like, do you bring a different level of stuff? And yeah,
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that because I actually have a seller, a friend of mine who I see at every single one of these local shows, and I also see him at Collecticons. And I always talk to him after the local shows, and he very much so always implies to me that he never sells a lot at these shows, but he buys a lot. So he only goes there to buy from people because he
Well,
knows that he can get at like 70-60% market value, people walking up and buying, but he never sells a lot. But when I look at his case, he sells all high end, nothing lower than $200-$300. Like his lowest cost thing are those skateboards, those sealed skateboards they were selling, and he was selling a bunch
man.
of those too. But like no shade at people who sell high end stuff, but that kind of stuff in the Pokemon world for me doesn't move as quickly or as profitably at these local shows. While you said Collecticon, it does, and I totally agree with that. He also, I see him at Collecticons. He tells me all the time how well he does selling at Collecticon those higher end things. And I
Yeah.
conversely, I feel like I don't do as well moving well, actually that's not true. I do good selling lower end things, but I like selling the higher end things better when I'm traveling that because it just doesn't make sense to sell something for $40 when you're paying $2,000 to get there with all the traveling fees. You have to sell those $1,000 items, otherwise it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah. It is expensive to do these Collecticon trips. It is not like I've gotten away with like sub $1,000 because usually I leave Friday evening, come home Sunday evening, and I only have 2 nights at the hotel. So I've gotten away with like $1,000 trip when I can get a flight for $500.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too bad, but that's the low end, like $1,000, 1,250 low end with the table included. Is there? I guess what is the benefit? Why go to Collecticons if you got so like? I think about that here with how many card shows I got. Like I feel like I could get my fill at a lot of it. Like they have some high end tables selling stuff. What's the pull and draw to get you to Collecticons as a seller?
Yeah, like that's the thing. Collecticon is really gonna have to push it, and what I mean by push it is by push the musical acts out of the show in order to get me to abandon some of these other shows that are locally running that I know are doing really good, and they don't have these musical acts that are breaking up the whole show in the middle of it, that I could go to and not have to pay a bunch to. So personally, I do think that Collecticon is great, but I'm not an advocate that I don't think that people should travel to a ton of them unless it's something you're doing strictly as a benefit for fun. Now, I will say that CollectCon is like in magnitudes of fun and in magnitudes of enjoyment of the hobby and enjoyment of the collectors,
Yeah,
Pokemon. You're going to have so much more fun doing a Collecticon as a general goer than you would at an average local sports card show that you just go to a day. It's like, okay, how can I put this? I'm a theme park lover, okay? I love theme parks. And so it's like going to Disneyland like for the weekend versus going to a local fair, like not a state fair, but like a county fair for the weekend. One of those two things you would justify making a whole trip to travel for. The other one you would never justify traveling somewhere for. But if it's in your local town, sure, you'd go in and enjoy it. That's what the local card show to Collecticon like that's what I would say is
yeah,
the metaphor I would use is like, because I would never travel or go out of my way to go to like, say, Josh, your local card show of 120 tables, even though I do believe that's going to be a great show for people there. I think it would be worth you going to. I wouldn't travel, X amount of miles and spend thousands of dollars to go do it. But for
no,
Collecticon, I very much so would consider it because I know a lot of my friends are going to be there. I know it's going to be a whole big thing. Not because of the music, but because of usually the areas they choose, the cities they choose. They're entertaining cities with a lot more to do. So that's why you're not going to see me going to Kansas City. Shout out, sorry, Kansas City. I'm sorry, Missouri. I apologize.
RIP.
But there's just certain cities I would go to travel to for funsies. But like the argument for a vendor, though, it's really nuanced. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like you said. Like I enjoy going to Collecticons as a buyer and a seller. So I've literally flip flopped every time I've gone to like 7 or 8 of them now. and vendor buyer, and the buying is fun. You get more free time, like, and as well. So you're not tied down. You get to see all this different stuff, and you can just buy raw cards and stuff out of binders, and you're not gonna, like, I've made my money back, but I'm not printing money a lot of the time, because I'm not walking around with a 10K purse just buying people out at 65, 70% just to go home and flip it, because I don't have time to do that. So I'm usually trying to focus on raw high end stuff and making my money back. But I do can't do a lot of that at the local shows. It's more onesie twosie Pokemon tables. It's probably one Pokemon table to every 5 sports tables. Um, so I definitely need to get out to one. What's the most expensive tables you've had to pay for at card shows, not Collecticon?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. So the general overall fee, and I'm in California, so my table fees are a lot higher than the people in my Discord have generally expressed their local
Right.
card shows. Most of the local card shows I hear people are between like $60 and $100 for a table. That's what the
Yep.
most states seem to be the average 1 day card show for like an average show. But my card shows are typically on the $100 to $200, and I paid as much as $250 for one table for a 2 day show, a weekend show. But that was like in San Francisco in a really nice venue in a really high end area. And that show ended up being the most profitable show of the entire year, including Collecticons. So like it made sense to me. And like
Yeah.
that show, the showrunner always gets a local, like, so we're in the Bay Area, so he gets like a local 49er or Giant or Golden State Warriors player, and they do an autograph usually, or like a local legend from the area. They'll do an autograph on a Saturday, and then another person will do one on Sundays. So I like being one of the like 20 to 30% of the room that's Pokemon as a seller, because I can collect all of those Pokemon buyers walking around looking for Pokemon when I'm one of the few options they have. As a buyer, though, like you said, it would be harder to really enjoy it, because if you're only looking for Pokemon, a lot of the local shows,
Yeah.
a lot of sports, and you have to contend with that. And that's good if you're a seller selling Pokemon, but not if you're selling sports cards. You have a lot more competition.
Yep. And I was just thinking about it while you're talking. One of the big benefits of these local shows, like the 120 table one, or however, I don't even know what a normal size one is. Probably 50 tables at a hotel or something. I don't know, but what
100
sizes
is
do you deal with?
75 to 100 is average. That's like a
Yeah.
good size. I go to shows that are like, if I see one that has like 200, I'm like, oh, that's a big show. More than that, it's way too big, and it's like
Yeah.
too big for its britches. But
Yeah. So the benefit I see there is almost every person that goes will probably walk by your booth at some point. Whereas Collecticon, you get what percentage of people walking by your booth? Like 20% will walk in front of it, and another quarter of that will actually stop at your booth and look at it. Like, it's yeah, there's way more foot traffic, so the number's bigger, but it's just not turning into money as probably as frequently as something a smaller car show would do when you're one of those 30% people selling Pokemon. So no, it's interesting. Talking me into it. I
the
need to get.
stakes are lower, man. It's like there's nothing to risk when you're just driving
Yeah.
an hour.
Yeah, it's nice. You got your own displays and everything, right, for local shows?
Yeah, I got these bad boys. I just upgraded them. My
Nice.
Zion.
You got Zion, bottom off Zion.
Yeah, so I used the ones on Amazon for a whole year. I bought them on Black Friday for like $40. They're those black wooden ones that you would see at like local shows a lot. And I used the hell out of them for a whole year, basically, until they were starting to fall apart. And then I eventually just upgraded to those Zions. And honestly, upgrading to the Zions for the extra $100 or so that it was such an improvement. I could hold more slabs. It looks more professional on the table. It feels better because they have handles. They're just sturdier.
Yeah.
They're not going to break. So it's just overall an improvement. So I don't think that people should go. I don't think you need to go and do that per se. I don't think for your first show it's necessary, or anyone out there listening. but like they're definitely good after a while to get something that's sturdy. And if you know you're going to be doing it and you're already committed, you might as well get something like a nice Zion case. I think not sponsored, but maybe we should be.
Yeah, my first Collecticon I did, I had no clue that you could rent cases. I didn't know that whole situation, so I had made some out of plexiglass, my own creations that were small enough to fit into a luggage that I could ship down there under a plane. That was huge. That was
That's ingenious.
big brain plays.
That's really, really MacGyver. Like that's really smart.
And then when I was in Long Beach, I didn't even rent them then. I was still using my own setup, and and then I got lazy. I was like, that's pretty much all that happened. I was like, $80 ain't bad, right? It's $80 a case or something like that. So I was like,
it's 40. It's 40 per. So it's $80 for two of them for your table.
Yeah,
it's so cheap. Like just
that
rent them
shit's
if you're
free.
traveling. I own them, but I don't bring them with me. I only use these locally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rent probably. I'll use these because I'm driving to Long Beach because I'm gonna have a big section, but I probably will still have to rent one or two, even though I have these two.
Nice. Are you what Collecticons you got in store? Which one you got picked out ones or?
Yeah, so I already have mine lined up. Unless like something in life changes, like maybe I have emergencies happen, life happens, right? So things can change. But as far as what's on my docket, what I have planned and what I genuinely want to do, well, I already am signed up for Long Beach, and so that's coming up. That's the next one that I'm doing. But then after Long Beach, then it's going to be, I think Chicago is going to be the next one that I'm going to be doing. And then after Chicago, it's going to be New Jersey. I think maybe Orlando as well, just depending on how it is timing wise. But I think that instead of Orlando, I'm doing Card Party because they're so close together and I can't justify traveling for both Card Party and Collecticon. I think I'm doing Card Party because I'm already signed up for it and I think it'll be the better event.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be Chicago because I could drive there 3.5 hours or whatever. That'll be nice. I got 2 tables, biggest spread I've ever had. We'll have video games and sealed products, a complete different setup than I've ever had before. So that'll be cool. And then I'm thinking possibly New Jersey. I've never been there. And Orlando is probably the play. My wife would like to go this time, so might have to take an extra day or so, and then maybe a Texas at the end of the year. We'll see. 3 or 4.
Which Texas? Which one?
There's one at the end of the year. I think it's September.
Is that Houston?
Or I don't know. Back in Dallas? I don't remember. So I think there's 3 of them in. I think like Houston, Fort Worth, and Dallas. All 3 of them.
Listen, you got to be careful in Texas, okay? You've heard what I think about Texas and Collecticons, and Collecticon likes to bait and switch the Dallas and Fort Worth situation.
Yeah.
They'll say one is it's the other. I don't know what the whole deal is with that. Maybe I'm not from Texas and I should know, and like it's something that I'm just ignorant on. But just be careful. Is all I want to say with Texas, because there's some stinkers in there, and they mix them in with some good ones, I think. So.
Yeah, I've gone to a Dallas, a Fort Worth, and a Houston one. So, and I just found out the last one that was in Houston, the hotel I was at had an explosion. I don't know if you heard that or saw that.
No, it just what happened. Do you mean? Like what kind of an explosion?
In the basement, they had a gas leak, and it just blew out a bunch of their windows and created a huge old mess. A few people got injured, nobody died, but. Yeah, that's crazy. It was a nice hotel it was a bunch of us that stayed there. And yeah, it was weird seeing that article. Crazy. You never know, man. You never know.
Well, I'm glad it's not in Long Beach again. Not because I don't like Long Beach. I love Long Beach. But the hotel that they always partnered with, like, has been awful every single time I've stayed. And it's like a really, really high class, very rich, like really expensive hotel. Yeah. And it's never been good. And the first time I stayed there, I kind of brushed it off because I was having such a good time. But subsequently, every other time I've stayed has been also equally awful. And so I'm just glad to not go back there, because even if it was going to be there, I would not stay in the partnered hotel. But it's not in the same place, so I have nothing to complain about now.
It's in LA, right? Or
Yeah, they moved it to
suburb?
like 45 minutes down the road to a different part of the area, the county, or the area or whatever. So it's like in LA instead of Long Beach.
Yeah, that's cool. I did like Long Beach the time I went. It was cool. It was a good time. It was crazy. The beer there is extremely expensive. Not a big fan of that at all. It was tough to find any cheap beers. Like $7 was like the cheapest draft anywhere. It was disgusting.
That's dirt cheap. That's like super cheap. $7. Wow.
That was at
Welcome to
Hooters.
California, by the way, Josh. Welcome to California.
I can go get dollar drafts 5 days out of the week here, like $1.50.
Oh yeah, this is California. The comments is gonna go wild talking about California. They always do. Everyone who's not from California loves to rag on California. It's fine. It's totally fine. But I'll admit it's obnoxiously expensive here, and we are just accustomed to it. So you'll hear me spout off dumb prices and numbers at times. Please pay no attention to it, or just carry that with the caveat that that's my California coming out. So I can't help it. I'm just accustomed. Like when I go on vacation, here's how I should put it. When I go on vacation, I feel like I'm king of the world because everything's cheap. No matter where I go, everything feels dirt cheap. So I love going on vacation.
Oh yeah, I feel that for sure. That's hilarious.
I'm like, well, this is cheaper than we're back home. Let's go. Let's do this. We should live in this hotel.
Mm-hmm. For sure. You obviously full-time reselling stuff. Any thought of ever doing like a brick and mortar, or like Java Kuma? He's set up at a card shop. He's got a booth essentially set up there. Ever digging into something like that, or just keep it with card shows is the main focus?
Man, it has always been a dream of mine to start a card shop. Like literally, I don't know if people who watch the podcast know of like how romanticized a card shop is in my mind, how that would be for me. It's like, boy, that sounds like a dream come true. That was what me as an 8-year-old probably would have thought that they wanted out of life. But the whole cold, hard reality is the fact of the matter is that owning a card shop comes with so much extra baggage, and it's so much work for so little reward from not just like monetary gains, but like your own community will literally walk into your shop with like product from another store, open it up at your table, order food in, and sit there and complain to you about how your stuff's expensive or whatever, while they're using your real estate week after week and just coming in and being like, oh, and then saying how they would buy if things weren't so expensive, and then going and buying from Amazon, the second there's a deal, and supporting it. So like there's so little incentive to actually have that romantic reality of owning a game store, because I don't think it actually exists anymore. Maybe it does, and maybe someone who owns a game store can chime in the comments and say, tell me I'm wrong about that. Like, look, I love my community. They support me to the get-go every time. They'll pay $5 extra more than what the market price is online just to support me, because they're great. I don't have to undercut and sell 10% less than eBay. But I just don't know how many people are out there that are going to be in the comments telling me that, because the reality is, no, I don't think I would start a game store in this environment. I would love to, but it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. So Mason and my friends who do own game stores, you are saints for doing it, because you do provide so much to the community. And I just don't think that there's enough thank out there in the community. So you're hearing from me, but I don't think you're going to hear it from anyone else. Like, but thank you for doing that. But you're working an uphill battle,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll prove you wrong. Well, I appreciate you, Mason. All you do. I do love my local game stores and all those guys. So it's
and
just got a
your
new
local game
sports card
stores,
one.
guys. Please, that's not me saying not to. I'm sorry. Please support. It's just the reality I see, But you do, though? You actually will pay extra at your local game store?
Yeah, I don't go to them frequently. Like I just went to one and I just opened my first ever sports sealed retail box, football cards, and I got like a bunch of dog shit. But I talked to the dude for a while, and I pulled a rookie card, patch card, but it's still like $4. I'm like, that's terrible. I could have bought this 151 ETB for $55 and made more money instantly, for sure. So I don't know. When I go in there and I take some of their time. I usually buy at least something. Buy something, $10, set of sleeves or a couple packs. Like I'm not just gonna walk in there and talk their ears off and walk out because I'm sure they get enough of that, and it's probably annoying as hell. So, um, yeah. Usually I like going into the Pokemon shops though and buying their high end stuff. A lot of people don't buy it around here, so
Do
it's
you
always
see
sitting.
a world where it would be profitable to have a game store like in a certain light? Because I do think that there are some game stores out there that probably operate in a very profitable fashion and for various different reasons. But like, do you what would you do if you wanted to open a game store? I guess how would you go about that?
Start small. You pretty much start as small as you can, and then grow as it grows, like a beautiful freaking flower. Like my local game store was small, like 3 tables. That's all they could fit, and they're like, "All right, we're growing." And as that's growing, usually other things are doing well. Like you're getting the foot traffic, and the people are coming in, and those friends are talking to other friends, and it becomes more of a community space. And you're not just going to increase the size of the store just because you're getting foot traffic. You need to be getting sales, but something along those lines. I would be starting as small as possible, continuing online sales through eBay, TCG Player. I've never done TCG Player sales, but I would do that in some aspect if I wanted to do a card shop. But yeah, it'd have to be something that would. I will never do it until I'm retired, basically, like from my job. Hopefully, 50s. I'm hoping in my 50s, 60 years old, I'll be able to retire. So planning for it. That would be cool to have that as like my retirement job. Have a card shop. That's the goal.
Yeah, as long as I would say that as long as your goal isn't to be totally profitable, then it's like an
No, yeah,
easy, like, absolutely, I would do it. But if your goal is to make a lot of money or make more money than what you're currently doing, I see
no shot.
little incentive to actually want to have a game store. Like, you have to want it for the love of the community, for the love of the hobby. And for me, I mean, maybe I'm a dirty flipper who lives in his grandma's basement, but like I personally don't see the benefit of that when I could just get those sort of what you get at the card stores. You get a lot of people walking up to you and selling you their product at a deep discount that you wouldn't be able to get typically. Like people, it's like a pawn shop situation, so you can pick up and be
Yeah,
opportunistic really easily, but you can do that in a local card show. Like I do that by setting up a table and people walk up to me with their collections all the time. So like it's sort of, I feel like you can do everything a card store can do online and starting out. So like I don't know. I've always thought that maybe it would make sense to have a card shop if I wanted to have employees streaming. Like if I had a
yeah,
streaming service that I had that was up, that was always, I wanted other people to always be on it streaming, I would need a spot, a brick and mortar location, and that would also increase my allocations, increase my ability to get distributors, increase my ability to carry other games like Lorcana or like One Piece that you have to be kind of a brick and mortar or be set up with certain sort of thing, Magic the Gathering. So those are reasons why you'd want to be a game store financially. It's giving you access to more broad end product. But I just don't see the incentive currently for working into what I do in my current business model. And so,
mhm,
and I think that's sort of where we're going with it. But I do think there are avenues and routes that you could take that would make it worth it. It's just like, and what you said, I made me think like, I agree, you would want to start small, but like as far as location's concerned, I'm curious, would you pay up for a high foot traffic area that would like you'd be hemorrhaging money in rent to be in like this front end nice shop that you get a lot of foot traffic? Or would you kind of be one of these shops that you see a lot of that goes in this area that's sort of like a industrial kind of dying area, and you rely a lot on the nerds finding you because they're passionate enough to say, hey, go to Google, where's my local game shop? And then at least you're not out an extra $2,000 a month in rent that you have to make up in profit. Like, where would your thought process? Because these are things you'd have to think about, right?
Yeah, because my situation is different than everybody else. It would be my retirement plan, and I would plan to have that bitch right downtown Main Street. People walking right by the front of the building all the time. Like, yeah, big bucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be. But man, our downtown, it's like a vintage downtown in the city I live in, and it's freaking amazing. There isn't a single building for lease. There's tons of buildings being leased, different general stores and bakeries and all that. It's freaking awesome what it is, but there isn't a single nerd shop down there at all. So that'd be cool. It'd be cool to have one down there, but it'd be, whoo, yeah.
There are different kinds of nerd shops too. Like me as a person, I don't like comic books very much. Like I appreciate Marvel movies. I love them. I love the whole comic book, like the cartoons and stuff. I grew up on the cartoons and everything, but comic books as a medium, I never connected with. But for some reason, they're always connected with like nerd culture. But for me, I don't like comic book shops. They generally don't have anything for me in them. It's just a bunch of books on the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe they sell like a box of Pokemon cards up on the back wall or something for overpriced, or they have the older set of Magic that nobody wants on the wall. But generally, those aren't the types of nerd shops I like. And those are the types of ones you see in those like cute downtown areas, those areas where people just get foot traffic. I like the nerd shops where you walk into them and you immediately smell the room. It's like, oh, this smells kind of like
cat piss.
A little the dampness of because those nerd shops don't have a lot on the walls. Usually they have posters. They have a couple of glass cases, usually by the register, and they have usually the shittiest tables you've ever seen lined up on the wall. 4 or 5 of them there with like the break your back metal chairs. And when I walk into a game store that I see like that, that's what gets me going as a person. But I don't think that that's generally what your average customer wants to see, is that affronted with that smell and then that dank blank wall. I think there can be a hybrid situation that probably suits more customers a little better. But there are different types of game stores. You have to make the decision what type of game store you're going to be.
Yeah, you probably haven't been there, but Baseball Card Exchange Northwest Indiana has a new brick and mortar in the last year and a half. Before it was, I don't even know what it was, but it was more of a warehouse, and obviously the pack grading bullshit, but they have a brick and mortar now. The thing is 22nd century. The thing it's really nice, awesome collectibles, and it reminds me like Golden Auctions. If Golden Auctions was a brick and mortar, you walk in, just awesome memorabilia, different stuff, but cards, it's cards. It's just cards everywhere, Pokemon and all these different things. That would be kind of the way I would go. Some video game stuff, because video games are amazing, but it would just be no comics. Like you, I'm similar in that aspect. I'm not a big comic book guy, but one day I gotta save a lot of money, and that'll be cool to ride that
off.
off
A lot for your rent, it sounds like, because you're going to be paying up for that real estate more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
charge an admission fee for when people come in to see your museum grade goods that are going to be in all the glass cases. I imagine a lot of glass, a lot of lighting, lighting on it, a lot of like stands with different cool things on it. So yeah, you should charge admission for that for sure to recoup some of the rent.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be the plan. Have you ever been to Frank & Sons in LA, Northeast LA?
What's funny is like literally that place is one of the top places on my list that I want to go. And every time I go for a show, so Frank & Sons is only open on 2 days a week. They're open, I think it's like Wednesdays or Tuesdays, one of those 2 days. And then one day of the weekend, which is like Saturday, I believe. And so when I'm down there, I'm there for a card show, which is always taking place on Saturday. And I'm usually staying until Tuesday because I'm like leaving, I'm staying for Disneyland for an extra day, maybe usually I'm leaving on Sunday on that night. But if I'm not leaving Sunday night, I'll stay as long as Tuesday. I'm never staying until Wednesday, so I can't hit that middle of the Wednesday. So it's just never made sense for me to go, even though it's such a cool place, and I've heard everyone say it.
Yeah, I live in Michigan. I've been to Frank & Sons. What the hell are you doing? Come on. I made it a point though. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I think I was just down there seeing my sister, and I was like, "We're driving an hour. Like that, our flight leaves at 6 p.m. We're going to Frankenson's 3 hours before our flight because I just want to go." And I saw the Mexican hooked up with the Mexican hipster there. Saw him there, which is cool. I had seen him at the Long Beach Collect Con before that, but and other people. There was other people I knew from the hobby that I just ran into there, which was pretty freaking sweet. So yeah, that place is crazy. I could imagine the rent is cheaper than a brick and mortar because it's more of like uh an antique mall kind of
Mhm.
setup. Like each person has like a giant booth, kind
Yeah.
of like their own little shop within it. And yeah, that would be probably a pretty banging place to have a booth. I'm curious what the price is. Everybody knows, let me know down below. Not that I'm going to do it, but I'm just curious as hell. Sounds
That's like
cool.
the pinnacle of local card selling is when you get a Frankensons every 2 days a week, a booth that you just kind of go back to. That's a constant. So for those watching, I'm sure if it wasn't apparent, Frankensons is a weekly card convention type card like warehouse where it's just a big warehouse that's open a couple days a week. And like we were just talking about, these booths they operate there. So like it's got to be expensive, like you're saying, like at least $1,000 a month, I would think, or more, depending on the size. But it's like that would be a really good place to set up if you're a local there, I would think. And you didn't have a local game
Yeah.
store. Funny thing about Frankensons, most of our watchers' favorite streamers on like Whatnots, Drips, or Twitch, and all these like most of the Pokemon streamers, if they're from California, 9 times out of 10, they all worked at one of those booths at Frankensons. Like Cloud TCG, he's from Frankensons.
Yeah.
His job was working at Frankensons, like when he was younger, before he started streaming on his own. And a lot of the biggest streamers on Whatnot, they had booths or have booths on at Frankensons. So,
Wow. That's awesome. So are you going to California's biggest card show of the year this weekend?
I am.
Are you?
Ironically,
Burbank?
I am. I'm going to Burbank Card Show. Yeah.
That's cool. Have you been?
I have not, and so this is going to be my first time going, and I'm not going to actually vend there. I'm going to. I have an appointment with Beckett, and I'm going to go try to cross over a few of my slabs to get maybe a gold or a black label, possibly. And I have like a direct. They have graders on spot, so you could do the on spot encapsulation, on spot grading, and everything. I'm just going to do it there if anyone will, if they'll cross over. And then I'm gonna check out the card show while I'm there, and yeah, so it's just gonna be a 1 day little thing, but I'm actually gonna check it out on this Thursday.
I might have to ask you to do a favor.
You
I
better
might be
one over
shipping.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it might. I'll talk to you after this. We'll see what I can do, but that'd be cool.
I'm going to Beckett in person to them. They are doing that service at the Burbank Card Show, which is one
That's
of the
cool.
3 shows in the United States where they offer that service. It's either the National, or it's the Dallas Card Show. Those are the 3 where you can get that Beckett service, the crossover service.
Yeah, looking at the floor plan, it's massive.
Yeah,
Massive. Very cool to see. I would love to go to that. Like I've heard nothing watching all these card collector guys, Card Collector 2 and uh Sports Card Investor and all these guys. They always talk about Burbank Card Show. It's once a year, I'm guessing.
no, they do it a couple times a year actually.
Wow.
Yeah, they do it 2 to 3 times a year. So this is just the first one this year. So I've talked to the showrunners, and the tables are only about $600 for the lowest tier of tables, which is really cheap in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
East
for
LA.
such a large show, and it's a 3 or 4 day show too. So
Yeah, it's crazy. The national for me is 2.5 hours. I'm gonna go. Hopefully, as long as I don't have something overlapping, I'll be going again this year. I went last year for the first time, and that was awesome. It was a zoo because it was not shaped good. Like Collecticon, it's all just rows and rows and rows. It was a freaking hot mess at the National. So looking forward to some structure. Apparently Cleveland's way nicer as far as structure goes. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, when you're throwing such a large convention, there's pros and cons to it, right? Like, I personally don't like them to be too large because, like you implied earlier about Collecticon, when it's so big and people only have so much time to explore that amount of space, it's not like you can expect the average convention goer to dedicate 3 days or 2 days to explore the entire convention. Realistically, most people are going to spend one single day and they're going to spend all their money on that first day. And if they make it back the second day, it's just they're going to be browsing. They're not really going to be there. Or maybe they didn't spend any money first day and they spend their money the second day. But that's the really dedicated people who traveled there. The average convention goer, that's not going to happen. So I think the smaller shows, there's a benefit to the 100-table shows because you can really get through it as a buyer. And you don't have to spend that extra couple of days. So I think there's pros and cons to it because, like, yeah, I'm worried about the Burbank show. The reason I'm not selling there and the reason I'm kind of scoping it out is because I'm worried that it's going to be too big, you know? And I feel like I just get lost in a sea of other vendors. And I just feel like I was hemorrhaging money for going. So.
Yeah, I couldn't help but notice the Tag grading company has a massive booth. So that's interesting. Bigger than PWCC's and all those other ones. Wowzer. Have you seen any of their crap?
I know that they do like the labels are like different colors and stuff, right? Is that their situation that Tag does? They have different colored labels.
I think Tag is tempered glass etched. Not.
So I haven't seen them now.
Yeah,
maybe I'm thinking Tag and Ace.
Yeah, their slabs are like all tempered glass, and which, yeah, it looks. I mean, I got to see one at the National. They weren't even doing Pokemon yet, except for tops, because they were primarily sports cards. But now they've graded Pokemon. So interesting. There's a guy with a lot of money that started that company, obviously.
Do you think that any grading company will ever stand aflame or compete with PSA after what we've seen over the last couple of years with CGC and Beckett sort of just, I hate to say it, but just shitting the bed?
No, I think it's more so just of what it is because there's too much money tied into PSA. Like it is people's investment. Like it's a lot of like similar with Magic the Gathering. Those were a lot of their investments. Like some of the old stuff, a lot of money got tied into it. So then they started swinging their dicks around like, no, you're not making any changes. You're not going to reprint these. You're not going to do this. And it's similar with PSA. People are just like, they're just invested into PSA and their slabs and stuff. So you don't ever want to see it die because you're going to get wrecked. A lot of people would because they're the number one grading company in the world. So it's just going to be forever. Like there's no way unless they made such a drastic change. Even a complete label redesign would not, I don't think it would screw them. It might. It would probably be the most harmful thing it could do, but
they've redesigned a couple of times their label. They look drastically different from the early Lighthouse labels, you know?
Yeah, even the ones without the lighthouses, like they look like crap. So
they used to be blue, man. Their color was blue back in the day. Now it's red.
They just brought it back.
You know,
you see the blue labels are back.
Oh, what? Really?
For graded signature cards, only signatures.
Oh,
so they actually do the blue label for when they're not grading the card and they're just authenticating signature. I think that's when it gets the blue label now. Ooh. That was a big, because
I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that because it's very nostalgic towards their older blue labels. You know what I mean? Well, it's like a throwback almost. And it's a category that they really needed, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah.
So it's like for an autograph, but when you're not wanting it to be a 10-10, you just want one of but just the autograph, not the card.
Yep, the authentication on the auto. So basically, it's not certifying the card's real. Is kind of the issue they're running into, right? Like Rattle's reported on it. All these people are getting these fake cards, literal fake Pokemon cards and sports cards encapsulated in PSA labels, and now the blue label is going to be there, and it's going to be like, proceed with caution. Like you're getting an autograph here. This is an autograph. You're not getting a card that's certified, and so yeah, that it's a good change. So, but all the ones, as Rattle mentioned in one of his videos, like all the old ones, I guess if you do a reholder, it might change, but they're just going to be what they are. They're just going to be the red labels, and they're going to look like authentic cards with fake or with real signatures. So,
yeah, you don't want to see people getting taken advantage of when it comes to like the misinformation or sort of not understanding the change. But you also don't want your company to like not do those move forward because you're afraid of the past. You don't want to be afraid of the past. You want to be aware of it, I would think, and probably make people aware so that that doesn't happen. But I think it's still a good move to move forward and do that because it seems like a cool thing, you know, adding a level of authentication, a new slab, because they didn't have that before, right? You would just have it. It would say it on the PSA label what it was. Yeah.
Yep. No change to the labels at all. It would just say authentic. Like the one instance I think of is Rusty when he bought those. He bought some autos with like sketches on them. They were like printed blank cards, like E-Series or something. It said cut or something, right? And
yeah, it's CUT.
What the F does that mean?
It's a really weird thing to say. Yeah.
I think that's custom. I think that's short for custom is what I understood, which is like, okay, guess we're not going to print the whole effing word today, but yeah.
We thought if it was CUS, we would have thought they were saying custard, that there was custard on the card. Like
like I remember, they abbreviate some of the most. Like I saw they abbreviated PokeRev's name. They just put Poker V. I'm like, there's so much space. You write out so much longer names, but you're gonna abbreviate random people's names. Like, was Thomas or whoever did it lazy that day? Like, what are we doing? It's
I'll go
I wish
so
it was
far.
consistent.
I've seen PSA labeled the same English 151 card graded 2 different things. You know what I mean? So it'll say like Mew EN 151 or whatever, and then the other one will say it in like lowercase, like the same thing. It's like, are they manually putting in every single one of these things to the point where they have to uppercase, lowercase? That's wild. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, some of those new sets now, like the number of like actual text on the label is like all-time low. It's like Mew 151 Pikachu done.
Yeah,
that's it. Like that's it.
That's like crazy.
What? It is. It looks weird.
I'm a professional, and I don't know when I read that a lot. It doesn't tell me a lot about the card, and I'm supposed to know that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, that's a strange. It's less and less, and the set names are getting longer and longer. It's really weird. But yeah, it is what it is. You in your free time, you collecting anything, buying stuff for fun at all? Long-term inventory. I know you have some from the past, but are you able to do any collecting, or you not any interest anymore?
Ironically enough, I never loved Disney very much until my fiance and I got together, and she sort of really dragged me kicking and screaming into the whole like Disney realm. But that went one step further when Lorcana came out, because I had no intention to like get into Lorcana. I'd actually spoken quite against Lorcana as a TCG. I thought that they were going in it with hubris, thinking that they could just make something successful because it was Disney, and not know anything about TCGs, this company, this puzzle company who knew no idea what they were doing, in my eyes. And so I was very skeptical about it. But I ended up being in Disneyland on the release of the first chapter of Lorcana, and I got to buy some in the park. And like we opened it at the park in our hotel room that night because we were like, I got to see what this is all about. It's crazy. I looked online. They're reselling for like double what I paid for it. I was like, this is insane. But my fiance was like, I want to open it though. So we opened it. and we really, really enjoyed the experience. Like the card quality for me
Yeah.
as like as someone who grades cards and likes and is a nerd about quality and I was impressed for a new company, and like I love the foil pattern. I like the artwork that a lot of it was doing. I liked the vibes, and then I learned the game by the starter decks, and I really enjoyed the game too. So I actually do. I collect Lorcana, which is weird for me because it's not worth a lot at all. But we have cards that we open together, my fiance and I, and so I have them in a binder because it's just to me. I don't want to sell a lot of it because I can't get it from distribution, and I don't want to go
Yeah.
buy on the secondary market to then resell at a much higher rate because it just feels dirty and it doesn't feel right to do so. It's already so high. So I collect that actually right now. You could say I collect it because I have zero intent to sell. I have a binder. We're still actively putting foils in when I come across them at card shows. And I actually enjoy it. But that's the only thing that I'm actively like collecting. And, you know,
That's cool.
it's
Yeah.
I would have never thought that.
I love Lorcana. I have not played it. I don't know how to play the game, but I've opened some, sold some. And shout out to Ravensburger, the company behind the printing of it. It's better print quality than Pokemon all day, all day. The great ability, and just think like if I had to ask you, what's the best set that Pokemon's created in English that's been gradable in the last 2 years?
It's a toss up. I would say you could say Crown Zenith, but the
That's
print
good.
quality could go one or it's like which print quality are you getting? Are you getting the good Crown Zenith or the bad Crown Zenith? Because they both exist.
Yep.
But aside from that, Celebrations was like a hands down throw. Like you Celebrations, the print quality. I don't know what they did. They must have outsourced it to the Lord Connor
Probably
printers.
not in the US. Yeah.
Yeah, because it certainly is not the same printers they're using now, or if it is, they changed out the blades to the dull ones. They
Yep.
swapped
So
they just rented the sharp blades and then they swapped back the dull ones when they're done.
yeah, Celebrations was the one I was thinking of. Like the Charizard is like 68% gem rate.
Yeah.
And Lorcana from the first chapter, the Mickey, the Taylor is 70% gem rate. I'm like, holy shit. Like it's insane that the best printed Pokemon set in the last 2 years is getting outbeaten by like this ultra modern set that they just started printing and making cards for TCGs, and it's almost embarrassing to be honest. But Pokemon make the printers go burr. They're gonna leave the bad blades on for longer because they need to make more. But yeah, it's crazy. The print quality on some of these cards is phenomenal. They did a great job.
Yeah, and I hope that doesn't change, as they increase their capacity because they certainly didn't print enough of it to demand in the first run. And now we're seeing a lot of that be corrected with the reprints and them consistently saying, we're going to keep printing this, guys. We're going to keep printing this, guys. They're like hammering that point in. So I hope that we see a same level of consistent good quality. And I've seen that in the second set. It's still good quality. So, I mean, I hope the third set is the same.
I heard they didn't change card stock at all on any of the later printings because I thought I heard that, but no.
They may have between like the first print and then the newest print possibly, but I haven't noticeably been able to tell. I know there's an issue with the Enchanteds where it's hard to authenticate them and some are slipping by PSA and some fake ones are getting authenticated when they shouldn't have because it's just very difficult with the type of cards that they are and there's no texture on them, so they're easier to replicate than a textured card. So I think that's something that in the future Lorcana will probably retroactively, they'll in future sets most likely add texture to those cards to make it harder to counterfeit. These are new growing pains for any new game that you would expect, I would think, though.
Yeah. Yep. So you don't do any selling of Lorcana at all. It's just Pokemon or anything else besides Pokemon?
I did. I sold a few packs that I had when I heard a reprint was coming of set 1 because they were going for $20 a booster pack and it was just absurd. I bought them for like I think $6 at Target or $7 and I just had a bunch of extra packs. So of course I sold those when I heard a reprint was coming, but I do not sell Lorcana, and it wasn't a large portion of my inventory at all. It's just extra. This is just like what I had. So I mostly sell Pokemon. That's where the majority and almost all of my income has come from for the last, well, according to the IRS, the last 2 years, but probably maybe or maybe not longer than that, you know. So yeah, I don't do a lot of other speculation or a lot of other dealings outside of other card games. Like when MetaZoo was around, I dealt in it very quickly in a flash in the pan, because Whatnot offered for Wilderness a distributor level offer of like buying the boxes for a severe lower price and then paying for it a month later, like through an invoice, like a distributor would. But they were only offering it to sellers on Whatnot at the time. And that was right after, you know, the set before had done really good. The set before Wilderness First Edition, it was really good set. And so everyone was excited for it. So
yeah,
I got a couple of cases of that, and I immediately, like everyone else, got destroyed on Wilderness out the get-go. So I learned my lesson very quickly with MetaZoo, and I have this box right up here, pointing to right there. It's my open box of Wilderness that I brought with me on several Collecticons. That it's the only thing I have left of it, and so it's like I don't dabble in other TCGs really much anymore because I've gotten burned before.
Yeah, the Lorcana, when I had it at whatever Collecticon that was, man. Charlotte. I had Lorcana for sale, singles in my binder, and I had a couple boxes when they were like $4.50 a pop. Sold one of the boxes, and the singles, dude, like it was like 70% of the people that came to my booth were looking for Lorcana cards.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a hot commodity. It was pretty fresh then. But I'd be curious to see how that does now going forward. I don't know how many graded cards were moving. It seems like some of the really expensive cards graded, like the D23 promos and different stuff like that, could be doing decent, but I don't know. It seems more of like a raw game for Collecticons or something like that.
The Elsa, which was $900 at one point in the peak of the peak when boxes were, like you said, about $450.
Yep.
It was selling for $2,000 in a PSA 10 all day. $2,000 that Elsa. It retraced down to $400 when the reprint hit about 2 months ago in Christmas. Do you know what that card's sitting at now?
I guess 700.
It's almost 700 again, Josh. You're spot on. It's 650 and climbing every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the PSA 10 is anymore because I don't follow it as much, but it's like the cards that really got hit during the reprint are starting to climb again. And it's just crazy how much just latent organic demand that there is for this product. And like I see it in local shows with the types of customers that come up to my booth because I'm a Pokemon booth, asking me for Lorcana. It's not your average Pokemon consumer. It's not your average TCG or sports consumer. And that makes me incredibly bullish on the future and at least the near future of the game. So yeah, as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot and really like ruin the game itself, I think they'll do okay. Even if they reprint the hell out of it, you know, I don't think it's going to have the same issues as like One Piece, where I do think that One Piece is probably a stronger game and most likely a better made TCG because the company that makes it knows a little bit what they're doing with TCGs. They have experience. I don't think there's as much organic demand, and I don't think they could handle reprints like a Lorcana reprint. I think you could smack the world with like a year of set one of year one's first set of reprints. Keep on hitting it, and I think it would still be okay, you know, which is incredible thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm the most bullish on that game. That game is then One Piece. One Piece is still popping. It's nuts. But I'm curious to see what the reprints do to all of that situation. But I feel like the player base for that is like the strongest I've seen any new game do ever. Like it seems crazy. Have you heard of Lorcana tournaments being at Disney parks?
Yeah. There's not,
So
so the company itself, Ravensburger, is not throwing this tournament, but the tournament that you're referencing is being thrown by an official partner, like of it's a partner of Lorcana or Ravensburger, I think.
yeah,
So it's the most official that we've seen a tournament being held, and it's being held at like one of the hotels on Disneyland property, I believe. So, and I think one of the prizes is associated with Disneyland. So, like, it is really, I think, exciting for Disney heads to have a tournament at Disneyland or Disney World, wherever it ends up being. But I don't know if that's officially Lorcana or Ravensburger, because one of the criticisms about Lorcana right now is that they aren't putting enough of their effort into the actual tournament scene of the game. Like, they're relying a lot on the local game store. They're relying a lot on the smaller the self-run tournaments to really prop up that playing atmosphere, because they have no GPs, they have no paid tournaments, they have no big prizes set up, they have no structure set up for like a points system, and it's already 3 sets in. So they kind of need to get on that. That's one of the criticisms I'll say, is if they want their game to succeed and actually have their player base not just be interested but keep interest, they have to provide them with some sort of payout or reward. I don't mean payout monetarily, but a reward for playing. Give these guys virtual points. Make a damn app where when you win a tournament in your local game store, you get a Mickey that pops up on your app and it fills in a little code card. I don't know. Do something for these people, you know?
yeah. I was trying to think. I just did a quick search, like the release dates of Trainer Deck A and Trainer Deck B, because that was like the first introduction of like competitive play and stuff for Pokemon. And obviously it came out after First Edition Base. It came out after Shadowless, so it was later in that run. So I don't know if did they do Jungle and Fossil cards in those, or is it all base?
No, it's all base.
Yeah. So yeah, they are pretty far down it, and it being modern days now, you would feel like they should have some version of an app or something. But yeah, Pokemon took a while to get something off the ground running, but not it seems like not as long as Lorcana.
That's not true. I feel like Pokemon had something from the get-go, because I, as a child, was at the first tournaments at my local game stores that I could play. I was playing in base set. I was getting the promos, the Black Star promos as rewards for player rewards. Like, I was there. I was there in the trenches playing, you know? So I think Pokemon did have some competitive. I don't know if there was prize payouts and stuff. That might be a little different. But there's something set up, you know. They had prizes for people.
Yeah. Yeah, the internet was still just being birthed almost then. It's
It
crazy.
was a long time ago. Yeah, we're talking 1998, 1999. We're talking, I probably had to sneak on my mom's computer, like hear the AOL, you got mail, and like, oh shit, turn the volume down. I'm not supposed to be on here, you know? So
Yeah.
hear the dial tone to get on the internet back in those days.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing to be selling at? We talked a lot about card shows, but it's something I passionate about and want to get more into. But like, what is, not to spill any plays or anything, but you had talked about price wise cheaper, but are you talking to English? You talking Japanese? Like, is there at local shows? Does nobody like Japanese? Is it more of like it's a niche pocket? Like, curious.
Yeah, like
My own
I
sanity.
take the approach of, I never know who's going to be in front of me, so I always bring a wide swath of different items. My price range of slabs that I generally sell, though, is generally stayed between $50 and $150 typically. With the stuff that's on the lower end, I like to sell a lot more in person, because shipping a $50 card for $5, it's a lot
Yeah.
more into the profit of it than shipping a $500 card for $5. I don't care. I'll ship a $500 card, no problem, with priority, everything. But like, if I have to ship a $40 or $50 card and pay the fees and then pay the shipping, it's hugely I don't like it. It irks me. So those are the things I enjoy selling the most in local shows. I love selling sealed product, like modern sealed product that I get from my distributor, because there's obviously very little fees when I'm selling it in person. I can sell it at a deeper discount because there's no shipping, and it's a win-win for everyone. Typically, I can usually beat the prices that the local Targets or Walmarts or Amazon or online prices are, just because I'm in person. So I like doing that a lot. And I absolutely love selling mystery products in person, mystery bags, loot boxes. And I think that's a funny and like controversial thing. I say that with like a grin on my face, because I know it's a little controversial to say that I enjoy that, but I genuinely enjoy selling that stuff in person. I don't really sell it online. Like, I have a mystery listing on eBay for like one slab. You get like in a PSA graded slab for $19.99 shipped, and it's like a 7 or above, and that's sort of it. No trade, no energies, but that's my mystery listing I run online. But my mysteries that I do in person, I genuinely enjoy making them fun for people to enjoy. And I've had people at the last show, at every show, come back to me on the same day after purchasing and buy more because they liked what they got. And that's not just because they hit one of the chases or something. They're like, I didn't even hit a chase, but I really liked, one of your mids that I pulled, so I'm gonna get another. Then they maybe hit a chase or something. So like, I had people come back to me and thank me for making a good, honest product. And it's easy for me to do because it's like, usually products I give like $10, $15 of extra in, like, I make loot boxes that are like a guaranteed value, just a variety of things, but it's a guaranteed certain amount of value. And I give over value of what is in those boxes, but it's typically stuff that I've had for a while that I've sat on. So it's like, it's a win-win for both me and the customer to provide that option. So like, I love selling mystery products, but it's not like you think, you know what I mean? It's not what the general consensus is, I think, on mystery products overall. So
yeah, as long as like there's a lot of good ones out there, and I've seen your products. Was Denver the first time you ever did it? Like,
no, I've been
last year,
selling
2 years ago?
mystery products at Collecticons since there was a Texas one before Denver that I did.
Before this, okay.
That I started selling them at, and I did really good at that one.
Yeah, the mystery products, man. Like I said, that first Collecticon I did, the dude was selling like $30 box, mystery box. He had no Pokemon at all. It was like plushies and like a sticker, and like it ranged from $30 to $100, giant mystery box. Dude printed freaking money. It was absurd. Just a local comic book store that just stuffed it with tons of stuff. People loved it. Yeah, it gives you some thrill in opening it. It would, like, the few I've opened. I opened like the original Pokerev pack. I opened one and got a jungle pack, which was absurd. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay,
it's pretty cool.
It's not gonna spill a play or anything, but it's like something like this. This is like a Unified Minds 3-pack blister, right? This thing is like $60 or $70 if I wanted to sell this. If it's just hanging up, sitting there on my shelf, and someone walks by, they might not want to buy that for $70 or whatever. But if I have like a bunch of mystery packs that I made for like $40 or $50, and the average is like a $20 or $25, I'm not going to put this in as like a chase or anything. But if I put a couple of these in, I'm still making money by putting this in the mid packs. And it's still a $20 or $25 pack. Plus you get like whatever the other, like I usually have a slab and some other items like a plushie or a little statue or something, or a pin. And so like, you may pay me $50 for a mystery pack, and you may get one of these packs and a junk slab or something, but that's like a mid pull, and I can do that while putting in a couple chases and some that are like more modern stuff, like a 151 or Crown Zenith pack, or something that's a lower tier and maybe a little better slab, and I can make $10, $15 on it, and you can have a good time opening and not have to get the $200 pull for me, and I can still put one or two of those in for, chases, and it makes sense for like the math of it, so everyone wins. I'm still making a profit, and the person who literally didn't know what they wanted, they just wanted to give someone a little money and have an experience of like opening something random, they can still have something cool and pull like a Unified Minds pack, which you're never going to find a Unified Minds pack at your local Walmart, or buying one of those like mystery power boxes. The best case scenario is you're going to get like a Detective Pikachu pack or something. So, there's a win-win scenario, I think, in mystery bags for everyone. And it's just a matter of like what your customer is looking for. And if you can be tapped in with like your customer and really understand who your customer is, you can provide your customer with the product that they want, and they can have a good time with it, and everyone can walk away smiling. So I don't know. I don't think it's a very complex, like, it's not that complex, but it's certainly controversial at times, I think.
Yeah, people cause that problem, and I think there's more good ones out there than bad, to be honest. So they just get a bad rap for what they are. So it is what it is. We're gonna wrap it on that note, man. I thoroughly appreciate you coming on. It's been a blast. It's been a blast. Good talking to you. I know I've gone to your channel once, or about at least once, and you've been on my channel. Different interviews and stuff we've done together. So again, short notice. Appreciate you taking the time. But everybody, go check it out. The links down below. The Discord, the eBay, both channels, Retrospecs and Old Card Shops, are going to be down there because, again, the podcast does bounce back and forth. Go check it out. It's good content.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, man. It's been a lot of fun. I could sit here and talk Pokemon all night with you, but yeah, we'll save that for another time because I know we'll have many more chances in the future. And until then, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching.
Hell yeah. You guys have a good one. Peace.